Take a stool and raise a glass, it's Friday! And with that, I've brewed up yet another PF2E build sourced from the characters of your favorite games, shows, and media. The latest in the lineup is a legend in a league of his own, presuming it's a Brewfest league. Let's toast to the Rabble Rouser himself, Gragas. Before we begin, we're now on Patreon. You can get builds and monsters 3 weeks early there, as well as unique items and extra content. Even a little bit helps us go a long way. Before things fall flat, let's hop to it and pregame so that we can brew up a build for this bouncy-bellied boozer. A native of the Freljord, Gragas is a mountain of a man whose jolliness is only matched by his boisterousness. His fortitude affords him a near immunity to drink, which leads to him searching for the ingredients to craft a drink that can finally make him fully drunk. In-game, he is a melee vanguard, a type of tank meant to lead the charge into the fray with his fist, belly, and the cast that he carries. Whenever he uses an ability, his Happy Hour passive heals him. The first of said abilities is his Barrel Roll, which lobs a cask to a location that ferments before exploding for damage and a slowing effect. He could instead take a swig of his drink with Drunken Rage, which briefly grants him damage reduction and empowers his next attack with greater damage and range. His sole ability that doesn't have to do with drinking, unless you count the keg he's got in place of a 6-pack, is Belly Slam, which involves him dashing forward to knock up, stun, and damage the foes that he impacts with. Finishing out the case is Explosive Cask. Once again, Gragas launches his companion keg to a location, triggering an explosion that damages foes and knocks them back away from the point of impact. Gragas is a big bruiser-boozer of a character, but the most common trend among his abilities are the explosive barrels that he rolls out with the rather directly named Barrel Roll and Explosive Cast. Outside of these barrel bombs, Gragas is a melee combatant who can pump himself up with drink to enhance his durability and damage. His Belly Slam is great for some mobility and also disrupts enemies. Now, despite the sheer size of this mountain of a man, I like the dwarf ancestry. Between his stoutness, big beautiful beard, and adoration of drink, I think it works out quite well for him. I do also like the strong-blooded heritage, as alcohol is a poison in Pathfinder, and this makes him more resistant to such effects. He picks up the Rock Runner ancestry feat, which doesn't actually do much for him right now, but will lead into another feat in a few levels. Finishing off his ancestry for the time being, he gains ability boost to his strength, constitution, and wisdom, while also taking a flaw to charisma. I do think Barkeep is then a bit obvious as a background, but it does come with training in diplomacy and, much more importantly, alcohol lore. It's actually the only way to get alcohol lore through a background, which is something I checked on. This background does further come with the Hobnobber skill feat. The one downside is that I am not the biggest fan of the ability boost that it provides, as he's going to be locked into choosing Constitution and complementing that with a free boost to his strength. Despite this apparent focus on Constitution and Strength, we will actually be brewing Gragas as an Alchemist. It's probably even stranger than building him as a Dwarf, but this intelligence-based class covers both the bombing barrels of his Explosive Cask and Barrel Roll, and his deep desire for drink. He can make these through his Alchemy, Advanced Alchemy, and Quick Alchemy, but rather than being a bomber, we'll be mixing in Mutagenist for our mountainous man. The field benefit grants him temporary hit points whenever he downs a mutagen to resemble his Happy Hour passive. The field vials are another nice benefit, though the lack of increases to intelligence means that he doesn't have a lot of these to spare. On top of that, we'll add Quick Bomber to his list. The other Alchemist feats aren't really conducive to a Mutagenist, but he does make use of plentiful bombs to warrant the use of this feat. On the topic of said bombs, something like the Goo Grenade or Frost Vials will likely best suit his Barrel Roll, whereas a Pressure Bomb, and eventually Boulder Seed, can cover his Explosive Cask. Our alcohol-adoring Alchemist takes his ability boost here to Strength, Dexterity, Intelligence, and Charisma. The first two there will be important for his combat abilities, whether that be beating baddies in a bar brawl with a bludgeon, or lobbing a bomb, while Intelligence is necessary for his Alchemist abilities. He further becomes trained in crafting as an Alchemist, and then adds Acrobatics, Athletics, Medicine, Nature, and Survival to his Wine Cellar. While we will eventually be switching to an unarmed build, that's not the best option right now, so I would probably arm Gragas with a mace for the time being. For Gragas' second level, we do raise the bar by mixing in some mutagen options, but even still, Gragas lines up those with the Far Lopper feat. The revivifying mutagen is kind of the reverse of his happy hour, and I think we have other ways of covering this, so I went for the bombs instead. For a flavorful skill feat, Seasoned suits our supersized swigging souse by giving him a bonus on his checks to craft his food and deeply desired drink. Now, the Alchemist doesn't get any class features at 3rd level, at least not outside of a skill increase to make him an expert in athletics. But then this bulky boozing behemoth adds in a good old-fashioned toughness. The Alchemist is a little lacking when it comes to hit points, whereas the gregarious Gragas is a sturdy lad, so we'll want some options to help shore up his HP where we can. With 3 shots down now, we go for 4 to take Fermenting Liquors. Thematically, love it. Mechanically, I question it. It's mainly the fact that limiting it to once per day seems really excessive to me. He does further mix in additional lore for his alcohol lore. Since he is taking this feat, you could theoretically skip the barkeep background, which could lead to you instead selecting a better option for the sake of his ability scores. Helping out said ability scores are boosts to Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, and Intelligence at level 5. He finds Field Discovery, Powerful Alchemy, and increases his Society skill to Trained and his Crafting to Expert. We then get to expand on that Rock Runner feat with Boulder Roll. This is an early step at representing Gragas' Belly Slam, as it lets him move into an enemy, force him back, and even deal some damage. All of these effects are a little less than I'd like them to be, but it is a start. As for Gragas' 6th level, he adds some gin to the tonic that is Alchemist by taking the Monk Dedication. Despite literally having an ability called Drunken Rage, the Monk seems a better multi-class for Gragas than the Barbarian. He often fights with just his belly and blows, which are now represented via Powerful Fist, and there's also a couple other options that I want from this. Paired with that this evening is a lovely, unmistakable lore, so that he can't critically fail to recall knowledge about alcohol, and helping to represent him being quite the cocktail connoisseur, as seen in his Esquire skin. We stir and swirl things up with alchemical weapon expertise, will expertise, and a mastery over athletics at 7th level. That said, Paizo really needs to add some more general feats to the mix, because I'm up a case of standard tanky feats with fast recovery here. It's also standard for my league builds, and does feel especially appropriate for the durable drinker that is Gragas, so I guess I shouldn't complain too much. We are basically bar hopping at level 8 with basic kata into chi spells into Inner Upheaval. My intent here is to cover the empowered strikes that he makes as part of his Drunken Rage, even if the lack of flurry of blows means that he can't make the most of this spell. There are some quasi-similar issues with specialty crafting, which he'll be taking for alchemy. The bonus it provides does not snag with Seasoned, and applies in similar situations. Still, we do need this for a few other feats that suit our Sudsy Sipper. Gragas starts seeing double with level 9, by which I mean he gains double brew, perception expertise, alchemist expertise, and crafting mastery. He also gains a Hero's Call ancestry feat, so that he can empower himself through heroism and shore up his HP when it's a little lacking, and give a bit of that happy hour coming off of a Drunken Rage. Straight from the tap for this Tavern Trawling Titan's 10th level, he has ability boost to Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, and Intelligence, which leads him becoming trained in performance so that he can belt out a drinking ditty or two. Sinking in the drink, he has advanced kata for Russian Goat Stance. I bet you thought I'd go for Stumbling Stance if I went for any of them, but this pops some caps that just suit him a bit better. We'll chase that with an impeccable crafting tonic, making it so that whenever Gragas brews a batch with specialty crafting, his successes become critical successes. Our massive master mixologist manages advanced vials, chemical hardiness, and an expert increase to survival at level 11. These advanced vials are notable since they grant him resistance to physical damage after downing a field vial, akin to the damage reduction of his Drunken Rage. He further gains robust health to help make him even sturdier. Think of it as him buying a Spirit Visage, or whatever item enhances healing these days. Packed into the build at level 12 is Mutant Physique, which enhances Gragas' physical resistances with a Juggernaut mutagen, in a way clearly meant to resemble his Drunken Rage again. Along with that is Inventor, since his goal is to ultimately invent a draught that can finally lay him low. Maybe he needs to take a sip of that Johnny Jump Up.
'Cause I fell to the ground and I couldn't get up after drinking a pint of the Johnny Jumper.
Our cup overfloweth with level 13's Greater Field Discovery, Medium Armor Expertise, Weapon Specialization, and a skill increase making Gragas a master at survival, so that he can scrounge up ingredients. And this heady drink is served on the rocks with Mountain Stoutness, stacking with Toughness to give him even more HP and lowering his recovery check DC to an insane 6 plus his dying value. Shaken but not stirred by that revelation, we follow on with level 14's Advanced Kata for Harmonized Self. In addition to providing us with another focus point, it gives Gragas some proper self-healing in the vein of his happy hour, and might also explain why he struggles to get properly drunk. The following crafter's appraisal is inspired by similar ideals as his unmistakable lore, letting him use his own brilliance as a brewmaster to recognize the quality of the drink he's downing. I've almost run out of puns, so let's just look at the level 15 ability boost that will increase Gragas' strength, dexterity, constitution, and intelligence. He further achieves mastery over his alchemical weapons, figures out how to get his bulk out of the way of explosions, and becomes a legend in athletics. Fleet as a general feat then might have an odd taste to it, but this dwarf has been running around with a 20-foot move speed this whole time, and I want to finally fix that. My goat gets got with level 16's Advanced Kata for Momentous Charge, which might give us the best way to cover his belly slam that I've seen. It's got the moves, it's got the strike, it's got the knockback, and if it's a crit, it's even got the stun. Some real top shelf stuff. Now I am not as personally impressed with magical crafting, but we invested all those skill increases into his crafting skill, so we might as well make the most of it. Plus, now we can repair magical items, which is super useful. It's bottoms up with level 17 as Gragas gains Abundant Vials to Guzzle, Alchemical Mastery, and a skill increase to make him a crafting legend. I will acknowledge that following that with Telluric Power is a little odd, but a constant bonus to melee damage as long as Gragas and his foe are both grounded is pretty great. While by no means breaking a Guinness record, Gragas continues to improve his HP with Monk Resiliency at level 18, affording him 3 extra HP for each of his monk feats. Given that we did just make him a legend in crafting, he'll obviously use Craft Anything for his skill feat, and maybe, just maybe, that anything means he can find his fabled fermentation. Honestly though, Keg's about tapped with level 19. Gragas only gets Medium Armor Mastery, a legendary survival skill, and the Die Hard general feat. There's no way this boozy beggar is dropping before the drink stopped flowing. On that topic though, it's last call. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Gather up your ability boost to Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma, and move to Trained in Arcana. I hope you found this build fun, but I got one last drink for the road. Combine elixirs. Gragas can mix 2 of his elixirs, such as his mutagens, together, before downing both, which has some interesting possibilities with his mutant physique. And to ensure that he's a premier person on ports, pops, and potables, he finishes out with Legendary Professional for his alcohol lore. All hail and recognize the Minister of Moonshine, the Baron of Brandy, the Vicar of Vodka, Gragas, the Rabble Rouser. That said, while the bar may no longer be serving, there's still the after party! Honestly, this is a build that takes a little bit to come online, and even then it's still a little mad. You'll mainly be mixing it up in melee, using your mace or ramming horns to soften up foes, while sparing the odd bomb or two to exploit weaknesses or blow up grouped up foes. There is a fun idea with using Momentous Charge to knock a foe back into their own party, and then quick bombing the lot of them, maybe with a Frost Vial or Goo Grenade so it's harder for them to close on the rest of Gragas' group. But don't neglect your mutagens. He can make the most out of them and even suppress their negative effects, which is undoubtedly one of their biggest weaknesses. If after all that you're still hankering for some hooch, how about some free archetype suggestions? The Monk could be further explored with its Monk Flurry, and perhaps its Stunning Blows, whereas the Alchemist could use some more feats dedicated to its bombs to great effect. A Wandering Chef could give him even more drinks and draughts to pass out, while a Barbarian could better fulfill his Drunken Rage, without disrupting Quick Alchemy, since it doesn't have the Concentrate trait. You might also look at a Guardian archetype, and lean into some of his more heavily armored interpretations, such as Cask Breaker or Warding Gragas. With that all said, has this build aged to perfection, or is it made from sour grapes? Let's review and find out. Gragas the Rabble Rouser is portrayed as a strong-blooded dwarf alchemist who studies a mutagenous research field and has a background as a barkeep, simply to earn him some alcohol lore. His limited background means that we don't have to dwell on it too much, and can get right into feats such as Toughness, the Dwarf's Mountain Stoutness, and Monk Resiliency to make him a tough tank. Given his tendency towards unarmed combat, he'll use the Monk's Powerful Fist before he can get into a rushing goat stance. For his happy hour, he can restore himself with Harmonized Self, or the temporary hit points provided by his mutagenous field benefit. For his barrel roll, We'll use the bombs that he can make as an alchemist to deliver slowing effects, likely deploying goo grenades or frost vials to do so. His drunken rage is going to get a little less ragey and more just buffing effects. The mutagenist has advanced vials to provide some damage reduction, as does the mutagenist physique. For the empowered strike he delivers following his guzzling, Interrupt People is probably the best fit. The original intent was to have Boulder Roll serve as his belly slam, but through the exploration of the monk archetype, he found Momentous Charge, which comes with the stride, strike, and knockback that this ability is looking for. Finally, to demonstrate his explosive cast, he can use Pressure Bomb to knock enemies around, though the high-leveled Boulder Seed could work out great for this as well. Drawn to the drink and a desperate desire to get dizzy on the drafts, this durable dipsomaniac dives into drunken dust-ups with dazing drubbings and detonating draughts. Quick note, we've passed 900 subscribers. I really love to hit 1000, and if we can do so before the end of the year, I'd like to put together something a little special for the folks here. Tell me what you think of the build and what other ones I should do. If you dig what I've done here, let me know with a like and a subscribe. I want to give a big thanks to the folks on the Patreon, with a special shout out to the Orc Overlords. That being Decaffeinate, Robert Miller, Shy Benser, Vorthis, and Black Arabaros. You too could head on over there for early access to the vids and extra content. Either way, thanks for watching and have a fantastic Friday.